Hello and welcome to this FPL Double Game Week 23 deal sheet video with me, Holly Shand. In today's video, I'm going to be picking out one player from each position to make my buy, monitor and sell list ahead of the double game week. Let's get into it. Starting off with forwards then, and Harry Kane is firmly back on the buy list. A lot of content creators were recommending selling Kane last week to get Bruno Fernandes in. Not me, by the way, but that turned out to be a really bad decision. De Bruyne to Fernandes was the way to go. We need to remember that Kane is having his best ever season in FPL. Now that he's got that 200th Premier League goal and he's got that off his back, I think he's only going to kick on from here. I think he's been overshadowed a little bit this season just because of how good Erling Haaland has been. But since the restart, he's only got 2 FPL points less than Haaland, which is really impressive. He's top for shots in this period as well with 28, and he's actually second for key passes among forwards with 9 in this period as well. And this weekend, he plays his favourite Premier League opponents in Leicester City. He's got 18 league goals against them. So if you haven't got Kane at the moment, you need to make it a priority to get him back in. On the monitor list, it's Arsenal's Eddie Nketiah. He's a hold but don't buy right now, just because we've seen Gabriel Jesus back on the grass. So Jesus could come back in at some point. And, you know, Arsenal players are going to be really popular and important in this next period of games, particularly because they've got 5 games in the next 3 game weeks. But we don't want to be using transfers, swapping around our Arsenal players. So the ones that you buy right now need to be ones that you want for the long term. That being said, though, his underlying numbers are really, really good. He sits 3rd for big chances among all players since the restart with 7. On the sell list, it's Brentford's Ivan Toney, who's failed to deliver an attacking return in his last 2 fixtures. Despite some appealing fixtures for Brentford, the fixtures are turning for the worse now. They play Arsenal this week. They follow that up with a blank in game week 25, so it's perfectly okay to jump off Toney now and maybe bring him back in later in the season. We've still got those FA charges bubbling away in the background, and his underlying numbers cause a little bit of concern. He's only had 14 shots since the restart, scoring 3 goals from 4 big chances. Moving on to midfielders then, and Martin Odegaard remains on the buy list. This is going to be the week where I actually bring him in with one of my 2 free transfers. You've got to be on the right Arsenal players right now, and Odegaard is the best pick of their midfielders. He's second for shots among all midfielders since the restart with 19. He's also 5th for key passes with 16, which just demonstrates his ability to get goals and assists. He's got 6 goal involvements, which is the highest of any of Arsenal's attackers in this period, and he's top for big chances created of all their players with 3 since the restart. And in terms of minutes, he's the one that's going to be the consistent starter as we get this flurry of Premier League games. On the monitor list, it's Kevin De Bruyne, who's another player who is a hold but don't buy right now. The benching against Spurs didn't surprise me. It happened in the reverse fixture. It seems like Pep wants to bench Kevin De Bruyne when he's playing against a team that play with wing-backs. So we could see him on the bench again in game week 24 against Nottingham Forest. But I do think that rest does bode well in terms of his starts for the double game week. In game week 23, I expect to see him start both games. And it was encouraging to see him come on against Spurs and create 4 chances. That's more chance creations than any other player in the Premier League last weekend, and he continues to be Man City's key creator. He sits 2nd for big chances created since the restart with 6, just behind Kieran Trippier. On the sell list, it's Arsenal's Gabriel Martinelli. He's been a great fantasy asset for us so far this season, but now is the time to say goodbye, make that move from Martinelli to Odegaard. We need to be on the right Arsenal players for this upcoming period. We've seen him substituted early in the last 2 games for Trossard, and it's not like Arsenal have been up and you know, the game's already been put to bed. There's still been plenty to play for, so that causes a massive concern. Out of Arsenal's front 4, I can see Martinelli playing the least amount of minutes across the double game week, so that's a massive factor now. We can look at the underlying numbers and try and find some encouragement, but right now minutes is key, and Martinelli just has to go. Manchester City's Nathan Ake is the defender to buy right now. A double game week provides plenty of opportunity for clean sheets, and I know that Man City have struggled in recent games defensively. We haven't seen that consistency of clean sheets that we normally do from them, but the underlying numbers remain good, which gives me hope of clean sheets going forward. Since the restart, they've conceded just 8 big chances on goal, and they sit 2nd for shots on target conceded with 15. Plus they've got a fixture in blank game week 25 as well. So they're a good side to invest in for the long term. And I think Ake will see plenty of minutes now that Cancelo has gone. He's actually played the most minutes of any Man City defender since the restart. Small bit of goal threat, not that much. He's had one shot on goal since the restart and created 3 key passes. But he does provide a little bit of attacking threat, and I think that he could be the one to go for if you are looking to bring on board a Man City defender this week. On the monitor list, it's Chelsea's Reece James. There's quite a number of managers that have held James through his injury. He's now back fit. He started against Fulham, didn't quite make the 60-minute mark, but you know, Chelsea have been really consistent in recent games. 3 clean sheets on the bounce, and what Reece James offers you is a really high ceiling. He got 14 attacking returns last season, and you know that he could pop off in any given game. I think the thing we need to consider is you've got the likes of Badia Shield now, which is he's a really nice price. He looks nailed on as well for a lot cheaper, but you know, you are going to see the consistency of starts, maybe not the attacking returns, but doubling up on the Chelsea defence is really wise. They've conceded just 6 big chances since the restart. On the sell list then, and this is going to be a little bit controversial, I've gone with Trent Alexander-Arnold here. I know Liverpool have just had a double game week 25 announced, but when they're not keeping clean sheets, what does it matter if Trent's got 2 games? He's too expensive given his attacking output. Liverpool's defence has been the worst defence in the Premier League since the restart. They've conceded the most big chances with 24. Virgil van Dijk's been a massive loss in their defence, and it doesn't look like he's going to be back at least for this week as well. So I think it's perfectly fine to jump off Trent now, spend the money elsewhere. He's still in over 15% of squads, which is why I've picked him out, but I do think he's going to be a sell. How many of my buy list picks are going to make your double game week 23 squad? Let me know in the comments. I'll be back tomorrow with the team selection video, so see you then.